is Talking Reds Live. I'm Josh Sexton. I'm joined to my left by Rob Gutmann and to my right by Craig Hannan. We're going to get stuck into the breaking news of the day, which includes a new job for Jürgen Klopp and an injury, unfortunately, for Alisson Becker. A few people starting to question Alisson's future potentially, so we'll get stuck into them and that in the second part of the show. But first, Rob, the Jürgen Klopp news has sort of, blindsided us a little bit in a way. I'm really pleased because basically the thing I didn't want to happen was him to go and manage another football team, and especially not another football team that Liverpool can in any way compete with. I wouldn't have hated the idea of him getting the Germany job, for example, because that is not a football team that Liverpool can compete with on any sort of measurable metric. This feels like it just makes all the sense for him, I think, this move.
Yeah, I could only agree with all of that. The ever-present nightmare scenario was that after a year and a bit, Bayern Munich or just a football team that we might face one day. Bum might lure him. I mean, I believed him when he said he wouldn't manage in the Premier League again, but it still wouldn't feel right if he'd been rocking up at Anfield as Bayern's manager or someone like that, or I don't know who else he would manage, Juventus or something, and you go, oh, that feels a bit grim, that. So it is a relief that one's out of the way. I actually don't even want him to manage Germany, quite frankly. I don't want him to manage another football team because I wanted to sort of buy into his feeling of, I've done it all. I'm spent. I've given every last drop of what I can in a managerial sense, and that's me done. And he has been hinting in that direction, which leads me on to my conspiracist mindset.
Oh, here we go. Go on.
Well, it's not really a conspiracy because he's more than entitled to do what he wants. But you wonder when this decision was made between him and Red Bull, or how long the offer has been there to tempt him. How far back does it go? I don't think they came to him on, what day is it today? Wednesday. I don't think they came to him on Monday, for example. I think it's a planned media event. So he's known for a while. Now, he has been saying in quite a lot of interviews over the months, he's been very much hinting that club management is a thing he's very, very, very unlikely to get into. So I do wonder when he found out. I do even wonder if, and I'm not saying he would have committed, could it have been a year and a bit ago that the top guys at Red Bull go, hey Jürgen, one day, would you like to come and be our main guy? One day. And if you come off the back of a bad season and it's doing your head in, and you think, I can only do this one more year. And you never know. Those Red Bull guys, they're not going anywhere. So it's not a conspiracy theory. But, a man like Klopp's forever got options. I just wonder how long this has been an option for him. How long. It doesn't really matter in the wider scheme of things. It just intrigues me.
I don't think that is a massive conspiracy theory. I think of the world of work, like this is if you remove the fact that he's Liverpool FC manager and think about how the world of work works, he'll have been speaking to different people, or his agent or whoever his management will have been speaking to different people. Different projects I'll have been shown to him and spoken to him about, and he'll have planned the future of his career. And I think you might be right in that he talked a lot about the idea that head coaching wasn't for him. We've seen him before leave a role which was at Dortmund, and then within a matter of months he's back in working again. And we knew that he was, as much as his holidays looked brilliant this time off, he just looks like this new man, and he's popping up at these DJ events and at the Olympics and Paralympics and just having the best time ever. But also he'll have known that there's no way after sort of 7-8 months that he would continue doing that and just be on holiday forever. He'll have wanted to do something. I'm quite happy.
You can't drink every day.
No, he can't be on
from beaches. Midday by the pool.
Not with that attitude anyway.
I'm really happy for him. I'm the same as you. I'm glad. One of my worries, and this is completely selfish and irrational, is one of my worries was he'd go somewhere else and he'd be theirs as much as he is ours, and I didn't want
4 European Cups Jürgen at Bayern would have been a horrible thing.
Yeah, and Dortmund will be saying, well, that was the same for us, but actually I just feel like he wins the European Cup with us, he wins our first league title in 30 years, he'll be synonymous with Liverpool forever. I didn't want him to go somewhere else and then win things and build them back up, and then like you say, you maybe have to play them in the Champions Champions League and you have to go through all of that. It's horrible. You know, I want him to feel as if he's ours.
Yeah, Rob, I want to come back to you on that idea of the sort of conspiracy, like quasi-succession plan type thing, because it was genuinely a thing that Liverpool fans were suggesting last season when he did announce he was leaving, the idea that maybe, you know, Pep Lijnders could take over our managerial job and that Jurgen could go into a sort of director of football role. And in a weird roundabout way, that's kind of what's happening, that Pep's got the second top job in the Red Bull model, and then Jurgen's got the top one.
Well, I did read. I initially said, I was in the car when the news broke this morning, and I said to my youngest son, I said, funny, mate, how is Bezzy has got, as you said, one of the top jobs at Salzburg. That got boxed first, quietly, and they kept the distance between it, mate. Maybe not.
Ooh, yeah, that is a conspiracy there.
Well, but Salzburg, you must show me, Red Bull don't own Salzburg. They just sponsor them.
Oh, is it?
That fucked with my head. I assumed they were the most Red Bully team on the planet. No, they don't own them. They own the New York something or others.
Right.
And
New York Red Bulls,
yeah, them. Well, let me call the Red Bull New York something or others. You know what the Americans like. God love them. And then there's the Leipzig something or others. No, and Leipzig. So those are the only two they own at the moment.
Right, okay.
But Leipzig, I mean, they're the big sponsor. Not Leipzig, sorry, Salzburg.
Yeah.
So, but you know, is it a stretch to say, in the wider conversations, that he said, if you need a manager, my mate Pep's a cracking lad, you know? And then you give whatever it takes, Jurgen. You could tell us to put Michael Mouse.
Now he's getting snotted 4-0 in the Champions League every week.
I know. Yeah, that's why Jurgen proves I better sign before they notice I've sold them a pup. Or something like that.
I'm gonna fact check.
Oh.
Yeah, that apparently Salzburg is owned by Red Bull.
Is it Leipzig? Go. Is it Leipzig's the one that's not owned, or?
Rob's been proven wrong on air here.
No. So I think your facts are wrong, because I read it on the internet this morning.
Just in case you can't hear.
The BBC and Wikipedia are saying that they are
rubbish.
Love this.
Can you hear yourself in the headphones there, or do I need to say again what you're saying?
Say it again, just in case.
So I read it on the internet this morning, so I'll be right.
Yeah. So
let's pretend I'm right to the end of the show.
We've got an ongoing conflict between Rob and Ash behind the camera here. So Ash is saying that Salzburg are owned by Red Bull. I asked if Leipzig were owned by Red Bull, because I think it's. I know people have been correct in this past that it's not Red Bull Leipzig. It's like Rasenballsport Leipzig or something.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether that's the diddle and you've maybe got them the wrong way around. But I think it is Red Bull Salzburg. So anyway, I'm into your conspiracy theories. What I'm saying, I like the idea. There's a bit of accessories.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's also interesting that I read it in the Guardian where they said that the role that Klopp will take up is very close to what Michael Edwards is doing at Liverpool, which is just interesting in itself. In that, like, I wonder whether Jurgen, when he was manager, was looking at what he does and going, I could do that. I'd enjoy doing that, and maybe even learn little bits from him. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, it feels like it's an exciting sort of change for him, and will be. You know, it feels as if it'll be less intense than being a football manager, and it feels as if he'll get to sort of look at various different departments and aspects of the Red Bull ventures and see how he can, like, you know, elevate them and scale them up and make them better. And that sounds like a really, really exciting project. Like, so yeah, I'm happy for him.
It is a bit of a. I'm scratching my chin here, having a big think job, though, isn't it? I mean, let's be right.
Waiting for the German national team.
Well, it'd be like Michael Edwards' job. He goes, no, I don't want to be director of football, because I think directors of football do, and I don't want to do these guys that. Directors of football do actual work. There's fucking loads of them for them to do. You know, Richard Hughes, he's got so much to sort out. Michael Edwards, obviously, when he was negotiating with FSG, went, Jesus, I don't want to be drawn into having to negotiate, you know, the contract of academy players at 1 week and having to, you know, and do this, that, and the other. I think if you're this sort of overview guy, you can be working really hard, but you can also be going, I'm just travelling around the world having a big think.
Working on the bits that you want to be involved in. And also you'll walk into that, like you'll walk into the Jurgen Klopp, they'll have been desperate to get him in, so he will be able to do that. I think that's like one of the bits for him. There's also like tenuous links between each of the managers as well. So obviously there's Pep Lijnders, the New York Red Bulls manager is German, and the Leipzig manager is the former Dortmund manager as well. Right. So it feels as if Jurgen might have some sort of relationship with each of those people as well. It makes it a bit more interesting.
I like the idea, by the way, that like Klopp's using his new Instagram to basically post pictures of him around the world, like just doing the thinking of him, just traveling around the world having a big think.
Should we buy? I'm thinking of Red Bull Barbados. Red Bull Mauritius.
Red Bull Mallorca would be a good place to start.
Exactly.
Craig, this last one on this. It sort of feels like, when we were saying before about the idea that he's obviously done his time at Mainz, done his time at Dortmund, done his time at Liverpool, and he's considered, one of the biggest legends at all those clubs, or at least one of the greatest ever managers. Certainly at Mainz, I'd say he's up there as the greatest ever manager, and you'd say at Dortmund too. It feels like he's put so much of his life into those 3 jobs. The idea of him going on to take another job, I almost didn't allow myself to even believe that could have ever been the case, really. Like, I'd have hated it to be the case, because I basically didn't allow myself that idea of thought, because he does put his heart and soul into all these things. And if it is, as Rob says, just that he gets the chance now to travel around the world and have a big thing instead of investing his entire life into this, then that again feels like a nice sort of personal one for him.
Yeah, and we're sort of taking the piss out of the thinking bit, but I think again, if you look at normal business, like the higher you go, the sort of less doing you do, and it's more about your experience and the insights that you can add and how you can sort of make the business better and push it forward. And that feels like this is sort of what it is. Like as a manager, he's got incredible experiences. He's obviously got incredible respect within the industry, and so whatever meetings he's in with where he's representing Red Bull, instantly has that respect. We've seen how he's able to bring people along with him on journeys and lead them, and it just feels like a really, really exciting role for someone like him, and really, really exciting for Red Bull as well as a venture. So I'm just happy he's not a football manager again.
I do think there is one difference, all joking aside, between, say, Michael Edwards or Jürgen Klopp in the job. Is Michael Edwards is actually has been an experienced director of football, an experienced behind the scenes guy in football. Jürgen Klopp has no experience behind the scenes. He's very much front of house. So, and obviously, people have said about Jürgen, he could be anything he wanted to be in any industry. He's clearly a very bright man, right? But what I think they're buying, as well as, but perhaps more than all the potential he has, is the brand. Yeah. So I think it has commercial. I mean, I know they're Red Bull, they're sponsored before they even get up in the morning, right? Yeah. But I still think they're looking at brand Klopp. He is their brand ambassador. That's what I think they're buying more than anything.
Massively. And it's Red Bull, and they're fucking brilliant at brand. So they've got their head screwed on.
Yeah. Interesting. Wherever Jürgen is in the world, we hope he's having a lovely big think and a lovely time. But wherever you are in the world, make sure you're protecting yourself with cyber internet security and a VPN from NordVPN. NordVPN.com/tour is how you get a discount through us. There'll be more information on screen now. It's a QR code just floating above Craig's head there in the top left. So click that. Click the link, NordVPN.com/tour. Scan the QR code and make sure you get yourself a discount there.
Rob, incredible link, by the way. Wow.
I love a segue.
Ash, when you did it, Ash went.
I love a segue.
Yeah, what a loving. Can I have the thing above my head one week?
Maybe, yeah.
Right, would you say Rob is right?
Do that the whole time.
So, just a little panel correction. Rob was right all along. Love, Ash, kiss. It's not a lot to ask. Sorry, what were we saying?
Alisson's injury to bring us crashing back down to earth. I know, 6 weeks out.
And the rest.
It does feel like, we've all talked about as a keeper how injury prone he is. It feels like people are just now getting to the point where maybe heads are starting to sort of go with this a little bit, be burnt out by this a little bit. In my view, I think if you've got the best goalkeeper in the world, and I believe that we do, you basically take whatever amount of games he can play and make sure he's supported by a solid deputy. And I think we've been able to say that for the last few seasons. We sort of believe that in the summer, Kelleher is gonna move on to pastures new because he deserves the chance to do that. That's where basically the new fella they've got in best be shit hot, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hugely disappointing. But at the same time, it's news we're used to hearing, so it doesn't feel as devastating as it should really. There's so much you can try and read into it. We go back to the summer, and Liverpool's first signing was a signing that was put on ice. The Georgian goalkeeper, Vashvili. Something.
Hashtag Vili was like.
Yeah. Big money signing, but for the future, a keeper. Ordinarily, you'd go, well, is that telling us that Alisson's out the door? Well, then you saw Alisson's comments, which were quite positive about it, and almost saying, well, I'm not even considering going. If you put all that evidence together with this latest injury, and by the way, it's his second injury of the season already, so he'll have got to Christmas, I think, with only having played probably less than 10 games for Liverpool, in all competitions, I imagine. you sort of think that maybe him and the club have almost shaken hands on a solution, which is he's almost not saying it's our ceremonial goalkeeper. He's our star acting goal. When he's ready, he plays. It's not like if you've got a star midfielder who's always injured, when you bring him back, you've got to ease him into the side. He might not even be the same player after his 5th injury. A keeper, you can sort of go, when he's ready, he's okay. We trust him, he'll always be this good, for another 3 or 4 years. You could actually keep him around as the best first stroke, second choice ever. So you can almost have, for the first time, a true rotation of keeper situations. Well, it's whether Liverpool want to buy into that. I don't want to be so dramatic to say, some people might go, fuck's sake, it's just an injury. He might play the next 3 years for us without another one. He has had plenty of runs where he didn't get injured. But on top of last season and the beginning of this season and this is a pattern. And I think the club were onto something. I think it's possible that in medicals they picked up some sort of structural imbalance that means he is going to be prone to this kind of muscle injury. I don't think it's his first hamstring or first tight thigh type injury. So I think they might have been onto it. And if they were and are, then this move for the Georgian keeper, assuming he's good, was a pretty smart piece of forward planning.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout from Rob Craig in the sense that I think there probably was that sort of idea of a succession plan in place, and as much of a succession for Kelleher, because it does feel like the solution for him is to move on in the summer, or at least in the near future, and try and get his move as a number one somewhere. And it is that idea that we've seen it go wrong at Arsenal, for example, when they tried to bring in Raya to be competitive with Ramsdale, and you can see how having 2 good goalkeepers can be sort of have a negative impact. I think Kelleher's attitude over the last few seasons has been impeccable, and whenever he's come in, no matter how from the cold it's been, as Rob says, there has been spells where Allison has played for a long time and then suddenly Kelleher has come in cold. It feels like he's stepped up in those moments, and that's where for me now, even before he's arrived, he's still got another 8 months at Valencia or whatever, but I'm already sort of throwing the gauntlet down to the new fella and being like, you honestly best be ready to come to the party here, because we're going to need you.
Yeah, I think like Rob just said, it's one of the reasons why we haven't sort of been spooked by it is because it happens so often, but I think the other reason is because of the performances of Kelleher this season and beyond. He's now a goalkeeper with real experience in big moments, cup finals, winning things for Liverpool, being part of the big moments, but also on a weekly basis. I think when he's played this season and at different times last season, he's been really, really good. So I think that's the key reason why we're a bit more calm around it. I mean, it'd be brilliant to get Alisson back for City and Real Madrid. Those are the twos that I'd be looking at. And
it's not going to happen, that, by the way.
Is it not?
They're saying nope. No chance.
I wonder whether though, they're saying this time scale, but they're looking at the fact that there's 2 international breaks, and they're looking at the fact that means Alisson's not going away in those 2 international breaks, and it helps sort of. They find a way to say it's this and then try and work their way back with the time that they've got to work with him. I think that's what they'll be aiming for, those 2 games. But yeah, I mean on the new fella, yeah, it looks like it is very smart forward planning, and I'm not someone that says, oh, it's another injury, get it red, blah blah blah. I think you can see a world in which Alisson comes back here and then stays fit for the rest of the season. Equally, you can see a world in which he doesn't, and there's niggling injuries, but you've got a brilliant number 2. That's what he's there for. So I agree on the new keeper coming in. I feel sorry for Kelleher, to be honest, in all of this. If I'm Kelleher, I'm looking at it and going, well, I actually couldn't have done any better. There was a brief period, not last season but the season before, where he plays in cup games and it doesn't look quite right for him. Sorry, it was the beginning of last season, the Europa League. But actually towards the end he was great, and he has been great this season. I'm really excited about the new keeper, and I know a lot of people weren't, but I keep seeing on social Valencia and the La Liga posting these videos of him doing brilliant things. He looked great in the Euros, and he knows that he's coming to football club with Allison as the goalkeeper, so he knows that literally the best goalkeeper in the world is there. But also Liverpool and Alisson might have, as Rob said, looked at something. We know that the hierarchy love data. We know that they will have looked at trends around Alisson's injuries, and then they'll have tried to predict based on those trends what to expect in the future. They might have looked at it and gone, that's too many games missing. We know Queven's wanting to move, and we know that this brilliant keeper who we think is going to is probably in the top 10 already, but is going to be top 3 is available. We go and get him. That's the kind of sort of ruthless nature of football I want to see, and it seems that Alisson's on board with it as well.
Yeah, I thought I saw, just scrolling this morning, I don't know the veracity of it, but I saw a headline which said Liverpool might be considering paying a fee to Valencia to bring forward the arrival of the Georgian keeper.
This happens every time
It does,
he's on a player, doesn't it?
And there was like the Naby Keita situation.
Yeah.
It was one of those, wasn't it? You know what? The interesting thing is Kelleher has had a few injuries with his time at Liverpool. Sometimes you're not being on the bench. That's what I think.
Ill at the weekend, wasn't he? Yeah.
Well,
It was sickness, wasn't it?
But that was sickness. But I mean, he's had injuries. Adrian's been on our bench a few times down the years. I don't think we've ever had Kelleher and Allison injured at the same time. But I'm not saying Kelleher's injury prone, but he's had a few more injuries than some keepers have had. Also, he's a lad who will still be saying to the club, look, I've stayed with you thus far, but I do want a full-time job somewhere. So it's not beyond the bounds possibility that they look to bring in the Georgian keeper in January. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know.
I also wonder with these goalkeepers and the way the goalkeepers play now that it's completely different to 10 years ago and before that, whereby they are essentially another man that plays with their feet. And so, you see it at the weekend. I wonder whether that's part of the reason why, even Ederson's injured for quite a bit last season at Manchester City. I wonder, and this isn't based on any sort of like data I've seen. I wonder whether someone might prove me wrong and say, that's bullshit. But I wonder whether there is an increased number
if you're not careful,
yeah, he's all the grass in the back there, isn't he? But like there's an increased number of injuries around goalkeepers that are brilliant with their feet and are likely to have more of the ball and likely to play further out and so on.
Yeah, well, there's a contract head loss, there's injury head loss, there's international head loss heading into this break, but at least Jurgen Klopp is having a lovely time. We hope wherever you are, you're having a lovely time too. Nice one to Craig and Rob for joining me for a lovely time. Make sure your lovely time is protected by nordvpn.com/tour and up the Reds.
Oh, this guy.
Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption.